G'day and welcome to the box seat. I'm Pete Anthonus. It's good to be here to preview 7 races coming from Ascot Racecourse this Wednesday, the 8th of May. A quick look at the forecast, and it should be partly cloudy at 23 degrees. The rail is out in the 13 metre position and I'm expecting a good 4 track. Race 1 jumps at 12.54. It's the Carbine Club of Western Australia maiden over 1200 metres, and we'll have a look at the most recent trial of our horse in focus, Just Too Hot.
The tail of the field as they come up wider on the track here. Secret Deliveries towards the rear, and then came Latitude Hill, who's well back with Arnie's Pride. And as they swing into the straight though, with about 200 metres to go, Just Too Hot had worked its way up to the middle of the field, and it is out in front. It is being held well together. The rest are being hard ridden as they head to the line. Just Too Hot's going to cruise in for Jared Noske. Second place, Bellflower shot through nicely into second.
I thought it was a good trial by Just Too Hot in the rainy conditions. It showed some good gate speed, which it hasn't always done in the past. Jared Noske was on board that day and he retains the ride, and I think the horse looks suited from gate 1. I'm expecting he can bounce it out of the gates and try and do something similar to what we saw in that trial. Settle on speed and try and prove difficult to run down. It's on top for me from the 1 Okina Curie, who's been seen for the first time in 504 days, so quite a layoff. But just in a recent trial, it jumped well. It was out wide. It was just restrained a little bit during the middle of the race, or middle of that trial, but then it loomed and it wasn't really pushed towards the line. So it does look like this runner has returned somewhere near its best. Third pick is the 14 Western Pride, who's coming from the Bob Peters camp, and obviously shown a fair amount of ability in the most recent trial. It was restrained early and was forced to do a little bit of work 3 wide without cover, but it responded really well to the whip in the straight. So it does have a nice turn of foot there. And then the 4th pick is the 2 Ascot Gold, which wasn't necessarily suited for part of that race last start. Things didn't go its own way. It was second when it was actually leading on the fence. There was a horse on the outside giving it bother, but it was just nabbed very late in the piece, so I think it can probably improve second up. 3 on top for me, Just Too Hot, from 1 Okina Curie, 14 Western Pride and 2 Ascot Gold. Race 2 at Ascot jumps at 1.34. It's the Tony Brennan Life Member Handicap over 1200 metres. And for our horse in focus, we'll have a look at the last start of Flower of War.
100 left to go. Flower of War just shifting ground out towards the middle of the course, clear of Megachino. Now under pressure. Dacio sticks on. Lookouts over towards the cutaway. It's Flower of War though approaching the 100, clear from Dacio, Megachino and Lookout. They're all queuing up, but it'll be Flower of War 2 for 2. Flower of War on Anzac Day 2009.
Flower of War has only had 2 runs so far, but both of those would rate high enough to be winning this event. It does have a very solid on-speed capability, and we saw last start it actually slowed down in the middle of the race, but then was able to re-accelerate from the 400 to the 200, which I'm always impressed with when I can see a leader do that. It maps to do something similar in this event. Jump from gate 7, find it, make its way towards the front, and just run along at even sections and prove difficult to get past. It's on top for me from the 2 Son of Bacchus, which does look like it's the other on-speed galloper. It's drawn on the outside of Flower of War, so I'm expecting it will sit in the breeze. It was a good trial most recently. It was leading, it was only grabbed late by Black Sabbath, and that horse does have a fair share of ability, so I thought the trial was very good indeed. Third pick is the 6 Devoted Star. It's only had the 1 start so far. In the most recent trial, it jumped wide. It was restrained a couple of times and it still made its way towards the line. In that only start, we saw a really nice turn of foot over the last 400 metres. And my 4th pick is the 7 Universal Appeal, who really didn't have things go its own way. It wasn't really suited at Pinjarra. It was restrained a few times and it kept finding the line, so I think it can improve from a softer gate. 4 on top in race 2, Flower of War, from the 2 Son of Bacchus, 6 Devoted Star and 7 Universal Appeal. Race 3 at Ascot jumps at 2.14. It's the Rick Hart Life Member Plate over 1,000 metres. And our horse in focus hasn't been seen at the races just yet, but we'll have a look at the 1 trial of Miami Moon.
Coming around the home turn with about 350 metres to go. Flying God is over on the inside in front. Hitch and Rail followed it through. Down the outside is We've Got Dreams running on. And deeper on the track, Miami Moon's joined in with a good run. Miami Moon has raced up on the outside of We've Got Dreams. Right down the outside, running on is Keep the Spot as well. But in front is Miami Moon. And Miami Moon has won from in second place. We've Got...
Thought it was a pretty impressive trial from Miami Moon. It jumped wide. It was out there 4 wide without cover. Eventually it was restrained back into a position with cover until around 6th, but then it was just making up ground wide on the turn. It was very strong through the line. It defeated We've Got Dreams, and that runner does look to have a bit of ability as well. So at a bit of a spec, I think the horse from gate 5, Miami Moon, can jump into a forward position. So I've got It On Top from the 2 Protected Action, who jumped into a box seat behind War Saint in its first start and was solid to the line. I think it draws to do something similar from gate 3, and Pike retains the ride. Third pick is a 7, Not Really True. I don't think this horse was suited at all in its first start. It was out wide, it was restrained a little bit as well, and the previous trials were both very good, so I'm willing to give it another chance in this event. And then fourth pick is the 5, Eye of the Day, who in its previous starts last preparation seemed to find trouble in each of them. And in its most recent trial with blinkers on, it was ridden to lead. It keeps the blinkers on in this event, but it showed it was able to kick well when challenged in that event. 10 on top in race 3, Miami Moon from the 2 Protected Action, 7 Not Really True, and 5 Eye of the Day. Race 4 at Ascot jumps at 2:55. It's the Darren McCauley Life Member Handicap over 1,400 metres. And for our horse in focus, we'll head down to Pinjarra to have a look at the last start of Not To Be Missed.
Recent trial together, Not To Be Missed. The grey comes to the outside. Stellaran and Adamus is over towards the rail. At the 200, Lido Beach going very well though from Lipstick Flickers, who now knuckles down, and so does Not To Be Missed. Lido Beach in front. Lipstick Flickers trying to haul it in with Not To Be Missed. Not To Be Missed and Lido Beach. It's Not To Be Missed. Not To Be Missed.
Not to be missed by name and by nature. The horse got back in a small field, but really showed a huge turn of foot over a slow tempo. It ran an outstanding last 600, last 200, the fastest of the day. And really, I think all things considered, it should find a pretty similar tempo in this event. Even though it's over the 1,400 metres, I think that step up looks ideal, and the horse should just be able to go through the gears running down the outside. It's on top for me from the 5, which is over there. It's probably the other horse that has a similar profile. Last start, we saw it run a really fast last 400 metres, again off a slow tempo. It was restrained and it did get a bit too far back on that occasion, but I think both of those horses clearly have the best turn of foot in this event. Third pick is the 2, Archant, who just seems in its trial and its first start this prep, just seems to be lacking a bit of fitness. It does look like it should be ready to improve second up. It's running about 5 or 6 lengths away from its best that we saw last preparation, so from the inside gate I think it should improve. And then fourth pick is the 1, Driftstar, who is a bit of a query going up 300 metres to the 1,400 in this event, but it does look like it should be able to jump well and control the speed from out wide. So for me, it is a potential horse that can improve if it can find the front. 3 on top, Not To Be Missed from the 5 over there, 2 Archant and 1 Driftstar.